All right, so moving on, we've got a member Q&A. We'll get through a couple of these today, but this first one is Christy from our Granger location, and she says, stretching. Is there an ideal time to do it? How long? And then too late after workout to get the max benefit? So really great questions, and I want to definitely plug our app right now because, 45 minutes at camp, sometimes it does come and go quick. You got to be in and out. And stretching is really important, which we're going to talk about those benefits and when to do it. But don't forget you have a resource in our app that also can help you go a lot deeper with making sure that you're stretching. So, all right. So Devan, is there an ideal time?
Well, I'm not going to, there's not an ideal time. I think generally speaking, you want to have a dynamic warm up, which is like a ballistic movement. So you're getting your body used to the range of motion that you're going to be working within the workout. So you'll see that in our warm ups. And, at the end, you want to do like some static stretching and just kind of really elongate and hold the muscle. But like you said, there's not enough time to do that. So if we're talking about timing and I'm going to go for I'm going to give advice from for people from the lowest common denominator of, hey, my body hurts. Like my back hurts, my knees hurt, my hips hurt. I'm tight everywhere.
I'm listening.
Yeah.
I believe, Bryce, that you've got to treat your stretching like a workout, right? So it's not something you do before and after a workout. It actually is a workout itself. Morgan and I have been working with Rachel, our yoga instructor, who also works with Ashley at Lake Norman Flagship. And she's been coming to the house and doing like 1-on-2 deep stretches with us. And just in 4 or 5 sessions, my hips open way up. I can get deep into child's pose. I can sit back on my calves. Like I can touch my hamstrings to my calves. And I always stretch after every workout, but it's only for a couple minutes. And so from my experience, it's getting into those stretches, those deep stretches, and holding them for like an elongated period of time. Pigeon is my favorite one, where you kind of tuck your knee up underneath you, you kind of roll over it, and it stretches your IT band and your hamstring and your glute muscles. That one sucks. If you hold that for 2.5 minutes, like Rachel makes us do, you come out of it. You have to come out of it super, super slow because it hurts so bad. And I know it's a weird thing to say, like chase what hurts, but that's the same in strengthening as it is in lengthening. If you want it to be beneficial, it's going to have to be uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And my favorite piece of advice is treat deep stretching 1 time a week like a workout. And actually do yoga, not power yoga though. Like we're not trying to do a bunch of push-ups, just deep holds and deep stretches, and then myofascial release. We can talk a little bit about that, but I'd love to hear, Bryce, from your perspective. Why are you tight? How are you tight? What are you thinking? What have you tried? I think there's a lot of people out there that don't find the balance in strengthening and lengthening. It's usually, I'm going to go work out and get strong, and then they put this lengthening thing on the sidelines, and that's not good because your posture needs you to be long.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's interesting because when I was actually playing professional baseball, that was a big part of my routine was recovery. Mm-hmm. So I would spend starting the day, foam rolling, ending the day, foam rolling, stretching. And for me, the why was I'd spent time, I'd had 2 surgeries. I'd missed season. Had missed doing what I love for an extended period of time and also set back my dreams. Mm-hmm. And so for me, the why was I don't want to go through that again. So I was very regimented. I had a routine of before I do this, I'm going to warm up properly. When I'm done, I'm going to recover. And we're talking, like he's saying, we're not even just 1 day a week, but sometimes it was an hour a day. I mean, that was my job. So I had the time, but the why was very clear for me. And now when I'm just into a different season of my life, I think that's where maybe I lose sight of, okay, I'm hurting a little bit. I'm a little tight. Maybe I'm not able to do what I wish I could in the gym. But have I reached that point? It's like, I've got to give it the time, right? And I think that's always the big barrier for me is where do I fit this in? And then how much better am I going to feel? And that's my hang up is making it a priority. I know that I need to do it. Mm-hmm. I just finding the space in my routine right now is what I need to do to just say, hey, this is what I do on this morning, and just be consistent with it.
Yeah. And that's a lot of issues with lengthening, right? It's like, it's the afterthought. And so you'll make the time for the workout, but you're busy. You got a full-time you're running 10 gyms, you're doing all these things. It's like, yeah, I know. But if we don't, then you're going to get to the point where it's so painful that you have to, and you're almost too far gone at that point to do anything like quickly within a 90-day window, right?
Yeah. And I think that's where the why was powerful before. It's like, hey, these are all my dreams are on the line.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I'm aching. I'm not maybe getting the results that I could, but even my wife will be walking through a mall or something and I'm fidgeting. And she's like, dude, you're talking about retirement and you're going to be playing golf and you're going to be doing this on the beach. You're 36. Look at you right now.
Yeah.
And so I think it's probably just the realization to say, okay, it is important for me to feel my best day in and day out and just make the space to do it. And really this year when I was sick, I had a couple of days where I was down and I wasn't able to go to camp, but I'm like, I got to move. I got to do something. So I pulled up the app and the recovery with Angie. She had a great pigeon stretch. She's actually getting the a foam roller in there to kind of wedge it against the wall to make sure you really keep your foot out. And I did that. And I did that for a couple of days. And I really felt like I felt immediate results just by doing that for a couple of days. My back felt better. Maybe it was just in my head because I'm like, oh, I finally did something. But I really felt good for a couple of days after doing that.
I think that we put so much emphasis on like putting so much time into it though, that we negate how important like even 5 or 10 minutes can be. So if 5 and 10 minutes is what you have in your schedule, like carve out 5 minutes before bed. Not only, I've read a ton of articles lately about how important it is to stretch before bed because your body's regenerative processes, they happen so much more during sleep. And this is just a time, like take 5 minutes to calm yourself down. We're not looking at screens right before bed to like get your mind right and like calm your nervous system after a day full of just going as hard as we can, which we all do. Right. So if you could just fit 5 or 10 minutes, I think that if that's what you can commit to, there's value in that. To just take that little bit of time before bed, and especially before your body starts to like restore itself.
All right, Morg, you want to do a new nighttime routine where we do 7 minutes and we'll split it up and we'll do one pigeon stretch on one side, one on the other, and then center splits. If you're going to if you have 5 to 10 minutes, do that because
getting crazy over here.
The source of all of our tension and our stress resides in both energetically and physically in our hips. And if we can open our hips up,
this is true.
What are you laughing at me for?
My mind is going to that dirty place that nothing.
My mind is just going to center splits.
Center splits. Those are like those are what like dancers do to like get better at dancing.
You do
right?
want it. He wants to do the splits because Cameron's working on them. So he wants to be able to say
there's a competition. There's an active competition currently, right?
Yes.
And you just roped Morgan into helping you win over her own daughter.
See how I do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cameron and I have a race because she's a good dancer, but she's not as flexible as some of the other girls. And so I'm like, babe, if we're going to be a good dancer and you want to do this, and this is what you're telling daddy you want to do, then we're going to practice. So we hold 2 minutes of center splits. And I would honestly, like, this is just anecdotal. I don't know there's evidence or science behind this, but I know I feel best when it's like a 2 minute to 2 minute and 30 second hold in that static stretch is when the first minute it's painful. The second minute you kind of go numb, and the last 30 seconds you get to kind of breathe. I call it flex and breathe, where you kind of like, and then as you exhale, you try to, breathe through that muscle and just kind of envision it opening up. So Morg, we found a new nighttime routine.
Right.
And you're accountable now because it's out there for everybody.
It's out there now. So,
what do they say? And strength without flexibility is a recipe for injury.
Yeah, I believe
there you go.
Well, there's before we move on, there's one more piece of that I think is really important. It's like myofascial release, and this is where foam rolling comes in. And if we don't know what fascia is like almost this membrane that's wrapped around your muscle, and it can kind of get tight and it can be loose. And when it's tight, it has these knots. And when it's loose, you kind of feel good. You ever woke up on like a leg day or something? You're like, my legs feel really good today. Well, your fascia is
not today.
Morgan's fascia is very tight today because bees kicked her butt.
Yeah.
But think about it like an orange, right? Like if you had an orange that was unpeeled, the outer layer, the actual orange peel, that's the fascia, that's the membrane, and then the fruit is the actual muscle. And it actually works like that. And so what we do is, and this is on the app as well, and we're only plugging the app because it's useful for people to be able to have something in their pocket that they can stretch and recover with. And what you do is you'll see it in the app is you put the foam roller on the trigger point or the tightest part of the fascia, and you hold it there for like 8 to 12 seconds, and then you kind of roll it up and down to get rid of it and to massage it out.
Is that what the guns do?
The guns do a very similar thing, but I prefer I prefer the foam roller because I can dictate and I can hold pressure and I can start to siphon off that area from blood flow so that when I let it go, all the blood comes rushing back in to kind of break up all the tight fascia.
Okay.
So there it is.
All right. So guys, you're stretching at night and you're releasing your myofascia.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, not yeah. You can release it if you want. Loosen it up would
Loosen
probably
it
be
up.
like a better term, but you can
All
release
right.
it, let it go.